The night is darkest just before the dawn. But what if I told you that darkness isn't your enemy? What if the weight you carry, the hollow ache in your chest, the numbness in your bones, the relentless storm in your mind isn't a curse, but a key? You've been handed a weapon most will never understand, a force they fear, a fire they cannot touch. This is your superpower. Close your eyes. Breathe. Remember the days you couldn't get out of bed. The nights you stared at the ceiling, drowning in a sea of static. The moments you smiled while your soul screamed. You survived that. You're still here. And that means something. You've walked through hell barefoot. You've carried the weight of existence when gravity itself tried to crush you. Do you have any idea how strong that makes you? The world wants you to believe depression is a flaw, a broken cog in the machine. But they're wrong. It's a lens. A brutal, unflinching lens that forces you to see truth raw, unfiltered, and real. While others float through life on shallow distractions, you've been dragged into the depths. You've seen the cracks in the universe. You've felt the void. And now you get to rebuild. Think about it. The greatest art, the most haunting music, the stories that carve into humanity's soul, they weren't born from comfort. They were forged in fire, in despair, in the raw, jagged edges of what it means to be alive. Van Gogh's Starry Nights, Beethoven's symphonies, the words of Plath, Kafka, Poe. They didn't transcend pain by ignoring it. They used it. They weaponized it. Your depression isn't a cage, it's a forge. And you are the steel. Let me ask you, who climbs higher? The one who's never fallen, or the one who's learned to rise from the abyss? Your scars are textbooks. Your pain is a compass. Every time you've wanted to quit but didn't, every time you've swallowed the screen and kept walking, you've been training. While others crumble under pressure, you've built calluses on your soul. You don't fear the dark because you are the dark. And in that darkness, you see what others can't. You notice the silent cries behind smiles. You hear the unspoken words in a crowded room. You understand the fragility of joy because you've fought for every shred. That's not weakness. That's vision. This isn't about romanticizing suffering. This is about rebellion. About taking the poison they said would kill you and turning it into medicine. They told you to fix yourself, to be normal. But normalcy is a cage, a lie. You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to burn, to create, to defy. To rise not in spite of your pain, but because of it. Your depression isn't holding you back. It's the anchor that grounds you while everyone else gets swept away by the trivial. You know what matters. You've stared into the infinite. And that is your power. So the next time the fog rolls in, don't hide from it. Step into it. Let it fuel you. Write the song only you can write. Build the thing only you can build. Love the way only you can love deeply, fiercely, knowing how fragile it all is. Every second you've suffered has sharpened you. Every tear has been a baptism. You are the phoenix, the warrior, the silent storm. They will never understand your strength because they've never had to dig themselves out of a grave to feel alive. This is your call to arms. Your depression is not the end of your story, it's the beginning. The world needs what you've seen, what you've survived. So stop fighting the darkness. Become it. Wield it. And when they ask how you did it, how you turned agony into art, despair into diamonds, you'll smile like a blade and say, I didn't survive the fire. I am the fire. Now go. Burn brighter. Pain is a language only the broken truly understand. The world tells you that depression is a weakness, a disease, a burden. They look at you with pity, whisper behind your back, tell you to stay strong, as if you haven't been carrying the weight of your own existence for years. They don't see the war inside your mind. They don't hear the screams in the silence, the way your soul begs for an escape, but you see it, you feel it. And I'm here to tell you this darkness inside you, this unbearable weight, this thing they call depression, it's not your weakness. It's your superpower. Because the truth is, nothing builds strength like suffering. Nothing sharpens the mind like pain. Nothing makes a person unstoppable like having survived their own destruction. You see, the world is full of people who've never been tested, who live their lives in comfort, avoiding pain at all costs. They crumble at the first sign of adversity. They break when things don't go their way. But you You've been forged in fire. You have lived through nights so dark that even the stars felt like they abandoned you. You have stared into the abyss and somehow you're still here. That kind of survival isn't weakness. That is power. The problem is you've been lied to. They tell you depression makes you broken. No, depression makes you different. It makes you see the world in ways others can't. It forces you to think, to reflect, to go deep into places most people are too afraid to explore. It strips away the illusions, shows you who you really are when everything is gone. Depression is not just sadness. It is the destruction of everything false. And in that destruction, you have the chance to rebuild something unbreakable. Every great mind in history knew this truth. Van Gogh, a genius, suffered in silence and painted masterpieces through his pain. Nikola Tesla, alone and obsessed, built the future while drowning in his own mind. Robin Williams, a man who made the world laugh, fought battles no one saw. Their pain wasn't their downfall, it was their fuel. Their suffering didn't destroy them. It made them create. It made them build. It made them change the world. But the world will never tell you that, because a mind that suffers and survives is the most dangerous kind. A person who has been to the depths of their own darkness and still chooses to fight is unstoppable. Depression is the universe sharpening you. It is giving you the depth, the vision, the resilience that most people will never have. It is turning you into something extraordinary, but only if you stop seeing it as your enemy. The people who tell you to just be happy don't understand. They don't know what it's like to wake up and feel like you're drowning in a life that doesn't feel real. They don't know what it's like to carry an exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix. They don't know what it's like to fight battles inside your own head every second of every second. But you do. And because of that, you see the world differently. You feel things deeper. You understand suffering in a way that most people never will. And that understanding gives you something powerful, the ability to transform. Because here's the truth. Depression isn't the end of you. It's the beginning. It's the moment where you decide whether you will let it consume you or whether you will use it to become something greater. It's the moment where you realize that all this pain, all this suffering, all this darkness, it's not here to destroy you. It's here to wake you up. Do you know why the strongest warriors are the ones who have lost the most? Because pain forces growth. Because suffering forces transformation. Because when you've been to hell and survived, nothing scares you anymore. You've already faced the worst thing imaginable, your own mind trying to destroy you. And yet, you are still breathing. That means you've already won battles that most people can't even comprehend. You are not weak. You are not broken. You are not a victim. You are a fighter. You are a warrior. And this depression that you think is killing you, it's actually making you indestructible. The world will tell you to get over it, to move on. But I am telling you, own it. Use it. Let it push you beyond your limits. Let it fuel your hunger. Let it sharpen your mind. Let it build the version of you that nothing and no one can ever break again. Because at the end of the day, the people who change the world are not the ones who had an easy life. They are the ones who suffered, who struggled, who lost everything and still refused to quit. They are the ones who turned their pain into power, their sadness into strength, their suffering into success. And that can be you. But only if you stop seeing your depression as a curse and start seeing it for what it really is, the fire that will forge you into something unstoppable. So the next time you feel the darkness creeping in, the next time you feel like giving up, the next time your mind tries to convince you that you are not enough, remember this. Depression isn't here to destroy you. It's here to test you. And if you survive the test, you will become something that this world has never seen before. A person who has faced their own demons and come out stronger. A person who knows pain, who understands suffering, and who will never, ever be broken again. Use your depression. Control it. Transform it. Let it turn you into the version of yourself that you were always meant to be. The world doesn't need another person who gave up. The world needs someone who has been through hell and still chooses to fight. Be that person, and when you finally rise, when you finally break free, when you finally become the unbreakable force that you were meant to be, remember this moment. Remember this pain. And remember that it was never your weakness. It was your superpower all along. And now that you see the truth, what will you do with it? Will you sit there and let the weight of your past keep crushing you? Or will you stand up and use it as fuel? Will you keep believing the lie that you are powerless, or will you finally take control of the darkness that has been trying to drown you? Because here's the thing, depression is like fire. Left unchecked, it will consume everything. It will burn you down to ashes, leaving nothing but destruction in its wake. But if you learn to control it, if you learn to use it, if you learn to channel its energy into something greater, it will become your greatest source of power. Think about it. Every empire that ever rose from the ashes of war, every legend that was ever born from suffering, every masterpiece that was ever created from pain, it all came from people who refused to let their suffering break them. They didn't just endure it, they used it. They bent it to their will. They took the very thing that was meant to destroy them and turned it into their greatest weapon. And that's what you must do. You must stop waiting for someone to save you. No one is coming. No one is going to fix you. No one is going to reach into your mind and pull you out of the darkness. That is your battle to fight. That is your war to win. And it is a war you can win. Because if you have survived this long, that means you have strength inside you that most people can't even comprehend. It means you have already walked through fire and lived. It means that every single day, even when your mind told you to give up, you kept going. Even when everything in you screamed for escape, you chose to stay. Do you understand what that means? It means you are already stronger than the darkness inside you. It means you have been winning this fight all along. And now, it's time to stop surviving and start living. It's time to stop seeing yourself as a victim of your own mind and start seeing yourself as the master of it. It's time to take every ounce of pain, every moment of suffering, every scar you've collected along the way, and use them to build something unstoppable. Your depression has given you an edge. It has made you see the world in ways others can't. It has given you an intensity, a depth, a hunger that most people will never understand. It has shown you the worst that life has to offer, and if you can survive that, you can survive anything. So what are you going to do with that power?